Perfect. Bonjour tout le monde. Hi everyone. So my name is Charlotte. I'm one of the grad mentors. So I'm working at the Graduate Student Mentoring Center since now since 2019. And so I hope everything is going well. And yeah, I will do this presentation on time management. Donc cette présentation sur la gestion du temps. So as I said, I am a graduate mentor, but I'm also a PhD student at the Institute of Feminist and Gender Studies, which is an institute at the Faculty of Social Science. Yeah, today, so I will try to share, like there are some tools and ideas that I will try to present you to maybe like help you to think about your own relation to time management and maybe to think about new strategies to develop about time management. But I will also try to share my own experience as a graduate student and also maybe some of the experience that I have by the fact that I met a certain number of graduate students coming at the center before and now online. So I will try to also share about this experience. Et je vais aussi essayer de parler autant en français qu'en anglais. Mais c'est vrai que parfois, quand je suis un peu emportée dans mon explication, ça peut arriver que j'oublie de switcher, mais je vais essayer de bien y penser. And also, I would like to, there are like few moments where I will ask you questions. So don't hesitate to, if you want to participate with your microphone, no problem. If you want to ask a question in the chat, this is great. I will try to follow the questions in the chat at the same time. So first, as an introduction, I had some questions that I would like to propose you to think about. So there are 3 questions. So what I propose to do now, maybe you can choose one question, think about it, and if you are comfortable doing it, you can share in the chat or by using your microphone, what would be your answer to this question. The first question is, what is most difficult for you to juggle right now? La deuxième question, ce serait, que faites-vous quand vous vous sentez surchargé? Donc, il y a des personnes qui ont déjà développé des stratégies, qui ont déjà pensé à tout ça et qui savent déjà ce qui les aide quand ils sont surchargés. And the third question would be, what does the ideal work-life balance mean to you? So what I propose you now is just to choose one question and maybe share in the chat or by using the microphone. Yeah, I can see someone sharing most difficult to juggle, getting things done when they do not have urgent deadlines. yes, and I guess this is maybe something that is quite difficult as a graduate student when you have to write a thesis, and so you have to, there are deadlines to follow. Still, sometimes this is something that can be hard to manage. Okay, I can see someone else. Oh, it's going fast. Ideal work-life balance, fitting it all in, balancing all of my responsibilities with having a life. Yeah, and this is what we will talk about today, how to maybe think about what works the best for you and what would be a good strategy for you in certain cases. Je vois quelqu'un, je commence par ce que je n'aime pas faire. Oui, moi je dirais que c'est aussi une stratégie que j'essaie d'utiliser, même si c'est pas toujours facile. Ce qu'on n'aime pas faire ou ce qui prend beaucoup de temps, ce qui demande plus de concentration. Okay, I will look at another one. When I am overloaded, I take a quick break, go for a walk, read something that is not for school, etc., to change my ideas. Yeah, this is a good strategy as well. just to take a break, try to think about something else, maybe go for a walk. Yeah, these are like good strategies, and I will talk about some of them just after. The objectives for today, so there are 5 objectives, 5 things that I would like to talk about today. First is to think about our own time wasters, and maybe I will talk about that quite a lot. I will repeat it several times, but I think this is something that is quite important, is that we all have different experiences and we all have evolve in, we all are in different contexts. Which means that what is a time waster for me, or what is a difficulty for me, will not necessarily be the same for someone else. So I think it's important to think about you, like what is a time waster for you and what would be a good strategy for you to tackle that. Ensuite, on va parler un peu de la planification, comment quelques stratégies de planification du temps, d'abord peut-être au niveau de l'année, puis au niveau du semestre, au niveau de la semaine et même au niveau de la journée, ce qui est quelque chose que moi je fais personnellement, donc avoir un horaire pour ma journée. We will talk about strategies, maybe some that you can try, maybe some that you know already. Des techniques d'organisation du travail, donc ça revient un peu à ce que je disais avant, puis des différentes responses to different time management situations, because it can really, it's always like different. We have always different commitments, different deadlines, these kind of things, and we will see how we can maybe develop specific strategies for specific situations. This is so the presentation is divided in 3 parts. First, it will be more like, as we did at the beginning, just to think about some experiences that you had, maybe about sometimes where you think this was not a very good experience in terms of work-life balance, and then maybe a better experience. We will talk about that. After that, I will talk about maybe different areas that sometimes are hard to handle, and sometimes we, like with our friends, like it might be hard sometimes with friends and family to find a good balance. And when I was thinking about this, I thought, for me, for example, it has changed a lot with COVID-19, because so we were talking about recording this session, and I'm currently in Belgium with my family. And before I used to be alone in Canada, so this it changed quite a lot in terms of managing all that. Maybe you are in this situation too. And then in the third part, I will talk about maybe some strategies about time management. We'll talk about that, the SMART goals, some strategies against procrastination, and then I will talk about the resources, some resources. Alors, un équilibre, la clé du succès. Alors au début, dans cette présentation, quand j'ai vu la présentation au tout début, elle était écrite équilibre égale choix individuel, so without a question mark. And I added the question mark because, in my opinion, there is the idea of choice, in the sense that you can develop strategies. There are strategies, and you can try to develop some of them, and some may work for you. But to some extent, there is also the context. Le contexte dans lequel on vit, which can be very different from one person to another. For example, so I'm an international student, this brings specific challenges, but there are also students with families, like with children. This is something that is quite specific too. So to me, it's like, yes, there are strategies that can be put into place, but also I think I have to be aware that we also have some contextual barriers that create situations where it's not always possible to balance the work and our private life or personal life in the best way. Par contre, c'est sûr que l'équilibre, ça aide au niveau de la productivité et de l'efficacité. C'est-à-dire qu'on a parfois, on peut avoir tendance à penser, et personnellement, je connais des personnes comme ça, avoir tendance à penser que quand on reste le plus longtemps qu'on reste à la bibliothèque ou le plus longtemps qu'on reste devant son ordinateur ou à son bureau, etc., c'est le plus longtemps qu'on a travaillé. Alors qu'en réalité, ce n'est pas nécessairement le nombre d'heures qu'on a passé à travailler qui compte, mais c'est à quel point on a été productif pendant à ce moment-là. Et c'est là que la question de l'équilibre, the balance between your work and your personal life is important because it will help you to be more productive. And then the question, what would be the ideal balance for you? And I think it also depends from one person to another. And now it's like the exercise that I talked about at the beginning. If you could think about an unbalanced workload experience, and maybe we can, so there are a lot of suggestions, but maybe we can think about the 3 first. Think of words that could describe how you felt during this experience where like you couldn't manage your work and your personal life, these kind of things. Or how would people have described you during this experience, or your family? If you could think about this and maybe share in the chat some ideas. Otherwise, I can also prepare some some example, as I have few of such experience. Okay, rushing, tornado, being anxious and stressed. Yes. Tired all the time, stressed, paniqué, frustré. Yes, exactly. Like these are all things that we can feel like during this time, which actually can block us to do our work. Then I would also say like being anxious, being stressed, like feeling like we cannot manage, not sleeping very well. And now the opposite exercise. Si vous pensez à une expérience d'équilibre en termes de charge de travail, et à nouveau, si vous pensez à des mots pour décrire comment vous vous êtes senti à ce moment-là, ou comment est-ce que vos amis ou vos collègues vous auraient décrit ou vous ont décrit pendant cette période de travail-là. Détendu. C'est un peu l'inverse, souriant, relaxé, reposé. Paniqué. On est plus organisé. C'est sûr que c'est très je dirais aussi que parfois la situation, comme on se sent, on peut être très stressé, on peut être anxieux personnellement, puis ça ne va pas nécessairement se voir. Donc, c'est peut-être dans ce sens-là que quelqu'un a partagé aussi paniqué. Voilà, donc ça c'était comme like a small example to put in light like how we feel like when we are overloaded or when we have an unbalanced experience, and on the opposite, like how we can feel when it's better and how we can work better. We are more calm, we are less stressed, less anxious. Yeah, here again, my idea was to emphasize that it can be the experience of each student is really different. And yeah, I will talk about this after as well, how like all the strategies do not work for everyone. And it's also kind of your role to see what would work the best for you. So is everything working well so far? Okay, perfect.
In the presentation, yes. In my life, no.
Okay, we can talk about that after after the presentation. So maybe some of what we will discuss now will be helpful, I hope. So the second part now, la deuxième partie, atteindre et maintenir un équilibre, how to achieve and maintain a work-life balance. So this is a tool that we sometimes use during this kind of presentation. So now it's online, so I'm just presenting it like this. But it's a tool that can help you to maybe think about certain areas and to think of where you are and maybe where you not would like to be, but maybe it can help to detect if there is something where you you didn't expect it, that you would score it like that. So there's a scale from 1 to 10, and for each of the areas, you can think where would you place yourself. For example, one example that I can take for myself is about physical health. Like I know how I would score me on physical health would be like 1 on 10, and where I would be something I would like to be would be something like 4 or 5 on 10. And when you think about like each different areas, it's like kind of a way where you can think about these different areas and where you are about that. So maybe if you want, we can take like 1 minute for each of you to think about this. And sometimes it's not very clear. Like when I think about my career, I'm like, where what score would I give to that? So maybe I can give you just 1 minute to think about each of these. And also, if I wasn't clear in my explanation, you can you can tell me. I'm also doing this exercise.
I have a question. How am I supposed to draw the dots? Like, where would the dot go? Like in the middle or along the line? Like, where should it be?
The dot?
Yeah, like if I were to fill this, do you color it in? How do you do it?
Good question. I think you can. I don't know. Maybe I would like color it, or just like the thing like this. I would just color it like that. I think in there might be some. I mean, some people may say, I think I have read something about this tool saying that it would be good to have kind of a balance in each, for each area. But to me, for certain areas, it also really depends on on everyone. For example, relationships. And I also kind of connect that to my experience at the center. When I see some people having a lot of friends and going outside, it's very important and they need it, while other persons, it's not like that. They prefer to do things for themselves, this kind of thing. So to me, it's a good tool if you just to help you to think about each of the areas, but then it's also to you to find like where is your balance. Okay.
J'ai trouvé un exemple en ligne, Charlotte, que j'ai partagé dans le chat. Alors, j'ai partagé un template du Wellness Wheel qui a les mêmes titres qui est sur votre diapo. Mais il y avait plusieurs exemples, plusieurs différents templates disponibles.
Yep, perfect. Super. Super, oui, à mon avis, c'est certain qu'il y a peut-être des personnes qui ont été... moi, je l'ai présenté ici comme comme un outil qui peut être utile à déterminer où vous vous placez et peut-être où vous voudriez être pour chaque étape. Mais c'est certain qu'il y a sûrement des personnes qui ont développé cet outil de manière un peu plus précise. Donc, c'est always interesting to look what is online. Maintenant, je vais parler de quelques-uns de ces points, mais je ne vais pas aller tellement en détail. D'abord, la question des amis et de la vie sociale. Alors ici, c'est quelques points auxquels vous pouvez penser justement quand vous pensez à la question de gérer son temps et du travail. Donc, comme je disais avant, c'est important. C'est pour améliorer sa productivité. Il y a l'idée donc de l'équilibre entre d'un côté le travail et aussi toute la vie personnelle, et les amis et la vie sociale, ça fait partie de la vie personnelle. Alors, comme je disais avant, pour moi, ça varie aussi d'une personne à l'autre. Par exemple, un des conseils ici, c'est de faire attention à garder contact avec ses amis, avec ses connaissances. C'est sûr que ça peut aider, et c'est important de garder des liens avec les personnes qu'on apprécie, etc. Mais pour moi, ça varie aussi d'une personne à l'autre. Certaines personnes sont plus sociables, certaines sont moins sociables. Et puis aussi, ça dépend d'un contexte à l'autre. Et on va en parler un petit peu plus tard. Aussi, l'importance de savoir dire non parfois, de pouvoir mettre ses propres limites. Et parfois de prendre des pauses, de son travail, mais aussi peut-être prendre des pauses dans sa vie sociale. About the family, it's quite similar than your friends. So as I was saying before, especially now with the context of the COVID-19, it can maybe create situations where it's like if you are with your family or not, where it can be even harder to manage to manage all that. Yeah, so these are some strategies that you can think about. Yes, I'm thinking about my own situation, like plan shared activities, these kind of things. This can be useful if you have family members who are also studying, but like for me, it's not my case. So, and then also, I think it also depends from one person to another. If you are very close to your family, maybe it's harder to again, like to find a way to say no, or I need to work now, these kind of things. And then la question de l'esprit, the question of the spirit, la question de l'esprit. Et this, I think, it's quite an interesting. It's quite an interesting point, because from my experience as a grad mentor, it really depends from the student. There are students who we meet who are really aware about mental health, for example, or they have already developed a lot of strategies to feel less stressed, to feel less anxious, etc. And on the opposite, there are students who are really new to that, or who have never really think about how stressed they were. So I think this is an interesting topic, and in general, I would encourage to at least try. Like when I started my program, so the PhD program, I was one of these new students, I guess, in relation to all of this. Like I didn't really think about this before so much. And I find it really helpful to try certain of these things. Also, sometimes I was reluctant maybe to try, but I would encourage to try some of these, like meditation. Here in the slide it's written pray, This can help some people, yoga, but there are like many other strategies that you can think about and develop that can really help to feel less stressed, feel less anxious, and this can be really helpful for your work too. Maybe someone want to share like a strategy that is not here, apart from meditation, yoga. There are, I think, there are many other possibilities. Yeah, exercise in general, and I will talk about that a little.
I think I don't really have any good strategies for this, but I wish I had done more of this, is I guess kind of my take home, especially when I was in my postdoc, because I think it would have been good to kind of check in and see like, hey, you're being really negative lately, or I don't know. I didn't have like a kind of sense of it. And I think that it would have been a good idea. So I wish someone had told me to, or at least propose it. I don't know what I would have done, but I can see the value of it definitely, and wish I had.
Yeah, I would say the same. Maybe having a journal, because for me, for example, it has happened several times that I realized I was stressed like after kind of I was like, well, I was really stressed during all that time and really anxious, and I couldn't really manage everything. So maybe being more aware about how we feel, where we are, if we are stressed or not, this can be kind of helpful too. Walking works really well for me. I can see that someone shared that. Yes, so this is the next point, which is, as I said, I'm not doing so well for that, but it's quite important paying attention to your physical health. Here are some general advice. I feel it's always easy to say, but hard to put in practice. But it's good to remind it, to pay attention to your physical health. Donc, manger correctement, bien dormir. I definitely didn't prioritize sleep until this year. Yeah, I feel it's always easy to say, but yeah, sleeping is it's important to maybe think about how I can improve my sleeping. It's easy to say and hard to put in practice. But I have seen students sometimes come and they are spending so much time, as I said, they think that if they cannot leave their desk, or they cannot go outside because they absolutely have to finish this. And sometimes it can be very helpful to take a break. I'm going outside, or I'm preparing food, this kind of things, or physical exercise. So now going outside for running or this kind of things, this can be really helpful. And now is the third part. So everything's going well. No question. So, donc maintenant, vraiment la question de la gestion du temps. So, how can we try to reconcile all the different demands while maintaining a good balance? And I think as graduate students, maybe it's particularly difficult because we have so many different challenges and commitments. We have at the beginning of the program, there are the classes, so we have to learn, we have to submit assignments, these kind of things. But then at the same time, we have the thesis and all the steps that we have to do, everything that we have to do for the thesis. And yeah, there are like so many things that we have to think about, like maybe all the question of the supervisor, everything, then writing the thesis proposal, ethics, collecting data and everything. So these are quite difficult. It's not easy sometimes to manage all of that. And this is kind of the academic part of it. In addition to that, we have everything else. We have sometimes we have to work on campus, off campus. As I said before, some people have families, so it's it's a lot. It's a lot. Beaucoup de choses à gérer. Beaucoup de choses à gérer en même temps. One good strategy is to really think about your program. Donc, de vraiment bien penser à son horaire et de le faire à différents niveaux. So, to think about your program at different levels. To think about it for the entire year. Like, what are the big deadlines for the entire year? Then, to think about your program for the semester. Donc, pensez à tout ce que vous devez réaliser pour le semestre. Then to think about everything you have to do for the week and then for the day. Donc, d'abord pour toute l'année, pour le semestre, pour la semaine et puis pour la journée. And this is something I personally do and I find quite helpful is so every morning I decide what I have to do for the day. I try to think, I take some time to think, what do I have to do today? And I write, for example, I have a meeting with my supervisor. It will take 1 hour. I have to work as a grad mentor. It will take 3 hours today. And then I have these hours left. And what do I have to do during these 4 hours? And I really write what do I have to do. And personally, I find it quite helpful. And it helps for different reasons. It helps to really see what you have to, for you to really think about what you have to do, for you to visually see what you have to do. And also when you have done it, you can also like cross, okay, I have done this, I have done that, so this is okay. One thing that I also try to do, but it's not always easy, is and I'm talking about my experience, is and also because I'm maybe more advanced. I collected my data, so I'm the part of analyzing them. But I try to put my thesis as a priority, and it sometimes helped me. And I will talk about this just after, about the different tasks that you have. Some of them are important, some of them are urgent, some of them are important but not urgent. These kind of things. But as I try to put my thesis as a priority, it kind of helped me sometimes to think about what I should prioritize or not. Another thing is, and this is also based on what I heard from students who came at the center or that I met, c'est le fait de travailler sur sa thèse un petit peu tous les jours. Mais ça peut là je parle de la thèse, mais ça peut aussi ça peut être aussi sur un autre gros travail ou un devoir important que vous devez rendre. C'est le fait, donc comme je disais, de travailler sur ce travail, la thèse ou autre, un petit peu tous les jours. Parce que moi, j'ai ça personnellement, j'ai déjà entendu que d'autres étudiants diplômés avaient ce problème aussi, c'est que si on passe trop de temps à ne pas travailler sur ce travail, que ce soit plusieurs jours, plusieurs semaines, parfois plusieurs mois, ça peut être difficile dans certains cas de retourner sur ce travail-là, soit parce qu'on ne sait plus très bien où on en était, on ne sait plus très bien où on en était, et on peut perdre un peu de temps aussi à bien retourner un peu dans son travail, qu'est-ce que je faisais, etc. And I think it's quite helpful. So every day I try to work on my thesis, even sometimes it's really short period, but and also as I said, it's always easy to talk about it, but sometimes hard to put it in practice. This is kind of a summary of what I was talking before. So the idea of really think about your goals for the year, your goals for the semester, for the month, for the week, and then even for the day. And also the idea to not to be too strict with yourself, because there are always new things that can arrive, or sometimes you think it will take you an hour to work on something, and then actually it takes much more time. So it's also important to have this ability to stay open about new unexpected tasks, things that can happen, and be ready to revise your program.
Charlotte, can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know, I was just asking Jennifer about this in our department, how kind of strict the annual report is that you have to do each year about your progress. But my supervisor was really good when I was doing my PhD about using that to kind of guide some higher level goals for the year. And then each year check back in and kind of report like, okay, this is what I said I was going to do in 2020, and then compare it to what I actually did. But I found that each year kind of, especially as you get further into your studies and you're not taking classes and there's less structure, I did find that that was a good exercise to kind of provide some sort of guidance and structure about what, you know, I should try to do in the next 12 months. So even if your supervisor doesn't really go through that exercise with you, I'd really strongly encourage you to take that each year as a way to like kind of come up with a plan and some kind of guiding framework for how to reach whatever goals or whatever you want to get done that year. And then, as Charlotte's been saying, break it down into, okay, well, if I want to do this by the end of the year, what has to be done kind of within the semester or within a month, or to like actually make it actionable. But I think we're going to talk about that anyway. But yeah.
I think it's Diane. I think too, one thing that we need to think about, and I just learned this probably the hard way a bit, is to realize that there are things that are in our control and there are things that are outside of our control. So, you know, we may get our proposal or a piece done first, but then the rules require that professors get 3 weeks to review it. And then the Christmas holidays are in between. And then, you know, so not only to think about what we do, but try and understand the whole process so that we can plan accordingly.
And it was also my idea to insist on that when saying that, yes, there are things that you can, there are strategies, there are things that you can do, but there are also many things around that. As you said, we cannot really plan, as you said, how much time it will take for the supervisor to look at what you have done, or so many other things like COVID-19, all of this. And yeah, the idea to have I think also it's helpful. So it's a few years that I'm also in the program, and I have also this thing that I'm writing what I would like to do in the year, and then looking back at what I have done or not. It's helpful to see how much you go forward, or what you can do to arrange to reach your goal. Okay, this is what I was talking about it just before. It's also kind of a tool that maybe can help you to think about the task that you have, and decide where you would place them. Like, you have a task and you can think like, is it something that is important and urgent? Is it something that is important but not urgent, not important but urgent, or non-important and non-urgent? It's one example that I had the idea to discuss now is the question of emails. For example, I have a tendency to look at my emails. I don't know why. Maybe I am expecting something important to come, but I think it's interesting to think: is it, where would I place this? Some emails are very important and urgent, but I would say a lot are not. So you can also try to think about, if you have a task, where you would place it, and then how you would put it in your program depending on how important or urgent it is. For example, for emails, for example, I know that I work better in the morning. So this would not be a time that I should use for things that where I do not need to be concentrated so much. So not my emails. Okay, this was just an example, but it can help you for each task. You can think about this, where would I place this task, and then depending on that, where should I put it in my program. And also, I'm at any moment you can anyone can intervene and share their experiences, or I have no problem with that. It's nice to have some discussions. The SMART goals. So maybe you have heard already about the SMART goals, les objectifs SMART. So this is quite helpful when you try to set a goal for yourself, and at each level. So for the year, for as I said, like for the semester, for the month, the week, the day. Because it really helps you to think what is the goal that you would like to achieve, and then I will talk about the different elements. But it's kind of it kind of help you to make it clear where you would like to go, and like not to set goals that are too big and unachievable. So the SMART goals is first, when you think about one of your goals, when you try to create a goal for yourself, you should think, is this goal specific? So this goal should be specific. Is it specific enough? Is it precise enough? So what is it? What is it? Specific enough, precise enough. Then it should be measurable. And you could think, how will you evaluate to what extent you can to what extent the goal has been met. Then achievable, as I said, so the goal should not be too big so that you are disappointed if you cannot reach it. Realistic, or some people also say relevant, which is that you can think like relevant, like will this goal help me to reach my objectives? And then the question of the time, how much time will I need to do this goal, to reach this goal? And maybe I added to this presentation a small exercise, and maybe it will make this more clear. But before, I can see a question. I'm not exactly sure what measurable refers to. Could you explain a bit? Yes. I'm looking at my note at the same time. So the idea is just that, but maybe there's an example just after, and maybe it will be more clear. But the idea is just that your goal is not too broad, that you don't really know where you are going, and you are not sure when the goal is achieved or not. So I will show you. Ooh. Yes. Did someone? Oh,
sorry. You want us to say if these are smart or not?
Yes. So this is the exercise, and I think it helps to understand better what is a SMART goal. So when you look at this goal, for example, the first one, have a first author paper. Would you say it's a SMART goal? So would you say that this goal is specific enough? Is it measurable, achievable, realistic, and there's a time limit? And if not, what can we do to make it smart, to make it smarter? I'm using the first one, but you can use anyone.
Yeah. So the first one I would say is made up of like what it should be made up of 100 SMART goals.
Yes.
Because it actually involves a lot of steps. So for example, each of the steps of it should have SMART goals. But I think Diane mentioned in there that there's no timeline associated with it. You know, the measuring part is obvious that it would be submitted, like it is measurable, but it's missing all the other components. And I guess it's specific as well, but not realistic, not timely, or not, I can't remember the rest of it. But,
yeah, exactly. It's not precise. It's not precise enough. I would say the most precise it is, the most helpful it will be. Like a very, very precise. Sometimes it can be surprising when we haven't think about SMART goals before, how precise it can be. But it can really be like something like, I will arrange this paragraph from my paper during this amount of time. For example, there is nothing about that in the presentation, but I'm working quite a lot with the Pomodoro method, which is a working method where you divide your time. If you have, for example, you have 1 hour and you work, you can work 25 minutes, take a break of 5 minutes, and then again 25 minutes. Or you can arrange it differently, but this is the idea, you divide your time. And I can say during one SMART goal could be during the first 25 minutes, I will look at this paragraph from my paper and I will arrange it, something like that, something as small as that. Okay, I can see some other question. Would you recommend breaking up these big goals into smaller, smarter ones? Yes, I think all of them. Like finish my degree. This is a great goal, but this is much too broad. Yeah, exactly. For example, with the example of my the paragraph that I'm working on, it's always, I guess you can always rework, but to some extent you can see, okay, I had these 3 ideas that I wanted to put together, and at the end of the 25 minutes I succeeded to have like 2 or 3 phrases that actually work together. Okay, is it more clear? Okay, I see that the time is going fast. Okay. Okay, so I will go quickly on these. These are again like, but I think I talked about, j'ai parlé de pas mal de ces stratégies ici. Encore la question donc des courriels, parce que voilà, ça par exemple ici, ne pas regarder ses courriels avant d'avoir travaillé au moins 1 heure sur d'autres tâches. Voilà, ça c'est une petite technique, mais qui peut aider parfois. Et aussi la question de apprendre à dire non. Ça c'était quelque chose que moi j'ai trouvé important de parler ici, parce que personnellement c'est quelque chose que j'ai du mal à faire, donc learning how to say no. So it's sometimes hard because you can have requests from friends, from colleagues, from your supervisors, and sometimes it's best for you and for everyone that you say, no, I have like already all these things to do, my thesis, which is my priority. And yeah, it's better just to say no. And yeah. These were again like some ideas about procrastination, and maybe that might be interesting for some of you. There are some applications, quelques applications here. So it's suggested by other grad mentors, so I don't know these applications, but if you are interested, it might be interesting for you to yeah.
I can speak to these. So I use one that's called self-control, and it is the only thing that ensures my productivity when I can't focus. So if you're someone who's easily distracted by the internet or anything, that I would really strongly recommend that you look into one of these things. It'll basically brick your device for an hour or 2, or you can put whatever time limit you want on it. Some of these though, you can still break them by restarting your computer. So get one, if you're really bad, you need to get one that you cannot turn it off no matter what. So if you look at the comments or the reviews on them, you can find out which ones, even if you reset your computer, will still not.
Okay, good. I will also look at some of them. I will not talk about this so much, but this is a video that we had the idea to include. Maybe you will find it interesting. It talks a little about stress, but also the relationship between success and happiness. And yeah, the idea sometimes that we have that we will work more to be more successful, then only when we will be more successful we will be more happy, but then it kind of never stop. I have to work more to be happier, this kind of thing. So maybe you can yeah, if you're interested you can look at this video. Yeah, these were just like kind of un résumé de ce qu'on a vu aujourd'hui. Quelques points que je pensais rappeler ici. Donc l'idée d'avoir d'essayer de développer certaines pratiques techniques qui vont être utiles pour vous, tout en réfléchissant bien à votre propre situation, donc à votre contexte et à ce qui fonctionne pour vous. Il y a des choses qui fonctionnent pour certaines personnes, mais qui ne fonctionnent pas nécessairement pour d'autres. Un autre point important, an important point, is to what I said about programming. So really think about your goals for your goals for the year, for the week, for the day, these kind of things, and also to take care of yourself, donc de prendre soin de soi, donc faire des pauses, faire des choses qu'on apprécie, se récompenser, etc. And just okay, I was going quite quick at the end, but just here it's a list of resources that might be helpful. And also at the graduate mentoring student center, we can also, so you can meet with someone. So there is me, but there are also other grad mentors, and you can have one-to-one appointment where we can also see more precisely if you want to talk about certain strategies, or if you want to talk about your specific situations, we can also do that. Voilà. Okay, merci.
Charlotte, je ne sais pas si on pourrait, entre nous, peut-être partager des stratégies qui pour nous ont fonctionné ou pas fonctionné. Je ne sais pas si on
oui,
reste 5 minutes.
Oui, et puis moi, je peux même rester plus longtemps.
I guess je peux commencer. J'ai fait un petit liste. Alors, j'ai trouvé pour moi, surtout quand j'étais au début de mon programme, je me suis gardé les mercredis matins j'ai bloqué les mercredis matins pour du temps pour travailler sur mon doctorat, comme la thèse elle-même. Et même si j'avais des rencontres ou des choses qui accumulaient dans mon horaire, je réservais ce temps-là à chaque semaine. Et ce n'était pas tous les jours comme Charlotte avait proposé, mais c'était au moins 3 heures à chaque semaine que je ne touchais pas, ou au moins je pensais à ma thèse. Ce n'est pas nécessairement que je travaillais là-dessus, mais c'était du temps bloqué. J'ai trouvé que ça a aidé pour moi. Peut-être j'aurais dû en faire plus, j'avoue, et peut-être à chaque jour, ça aurait été mieux, mais pour moi, ça me donnait un bon équilibre entre mes cours et mon TA-ship et les autres choses que je devais faire. I have friends who treated it like a job and they worked 9 to 5 every day. That didn't work for me. I found I would work when I wanted to and then take time off in the middle of the day if I wanted to. And the downside of that is that as an adult, I still can't work 9 to 5. So if you can develop those skills in grad school, I'd recommend it. I don't know if anyone here is good at that, but that did not work for me.
I saw similar things like that, Meredith, when I was in law school. So a lot of my colleagues in law school would treat law school as a full-time job from 9 to 5, and then the rest of the day would be their own. I'm similar to you. I don't do that. I just know how I like to spend my day. But I also, as you said, I block off a significant amount of time. So Charlotte, your advice about writing every day, I think is probably the best advice. It's advice that I've received from my supervisor as well. It doesn't work for me. He's always said, if you can squeeze in half an hour, do half an hour. And like my parents have said that too. They're like, if you walked your dog for 10 minutes less every time you took him out, that would give you an extra half hour. And I'm like, I don't need 10 minutes. I'm like, I need 5 hours. So I do something similar to Meredith, which is where I block off like a big piece of time, usually 4 to 6 hours, and I turn off my Wi-Fi, I turn off my email, like I put everything on silent because I have all of my stuff in front of me, so I don't need resources. That helps me stay focused.
Yeah, it really depends from one person to another. And I was also like that, and then I tried, and now now I feel it works. So sometimes I'm like, it's just trying. I mean, I don't know how to explain that, but sometimes we think it will not work, but it works.
Mais c'est vraiment de l'entraînement, comme il faut t'entraîner pour faire chaque jour si c'est ça qui fonctionne pour toi, ou sinon si c'est des périodes plus longues, mais peut-être plus infréquentes, c'est vraiment comme à entraîner votre corps pour rester assis, votre cerveau pour rester engagé, comme c'est une formation.
The one person I know that was super productive in grad school, who I also think was a bit of a sociopath, he would like get to his desk at 8:30, would never be distracted, would work. He would take a 15-minute break in the morning, go work out for an hour at lunch, take a 15-minute break in the afternoon, and just work until 4:30 and then leave. And he was very productive. He had more publications than anyone I know, but I also think he was a robot. So I don't think that's like, so if you can stick to that schedule, it's going to work, but it did not work for me.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to, because I spent a long career working, to work more like that. But I also find, I think we need to give ourselves grace sometimes, because there are just going to be some days where you're just going to sit down at the computer and it's just not going to work. It's just not going to come. And those are the days I think where we're hardest on ourselves. And maybe those are the days where we need to go, well, it's just a day, tomorrow's another day, and then you have another day where, you're able to do a lot. So I think we need to plan, but also understand that we're human beings, so that there has to be some flexibility.
And I think, Diane, you're touching on something that I didn't really fully appreciate till I was in my 4th year of postdoc, about how I was never taking real time off, in that I would take, like through my PhD, like through master's, through PhD, through postdoc, I got into this habit of taking, of beating myself up on the days I got nothing done, and then trying to compensate for that by trying to work harder on other days. But then it ended up just being a bunch of days where I, spent more time browsing the internet or like looking at YouTube videos. I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you where the time went, instead of just kind of taking it as like, okay, you need a break, take a real vacation, don't feel bad about it. And then you'll come back and actually be recharged and refreshed and able to do things. And like Charlotte was talking about that at the beginning, about how, j'oublie un peu l'exemple, mais c'est comme, like the wellness, the balance of wellness, and how if you just because you spent time working, it doesn't mean you actually got anything done. And so it's hard though. It's but sorry, I found this very helpful. I'm gonna this is gonna refocus me at least. But hopefully. But yeah, does anyone else have any strategies that work? Diane, you talked about the altitude, or what's that?
Oh, so that's a program that's run by the Career Development Center. And they run, you have to sign up for it to be part of it. And it's for graduate students. And they run 10 seminars over the course of the semester. And if you'd like to get a certificate, because there is a certificate at the end, you need to do certain things. So you need to attend 6 of the sessions, you need to participate in the discussion groups, provide feedback, and then do a 1-page reflection at the end. But some of the sessions are really excellent. Like there was one on thesis writing just this week that was really good. And it's all free. And typically on average, they have between, I think, 50 and 80 students attend the sessions online. So they have different modules. There's some on communication, there's some on writing, there's some on career development, like how to set up your LinkedIn presence and all of that for the future for people who want careers. So it's really quite good.
That does sound helpful.
Yeah, it's a good reference, the altitude program.
Et puis c'est en anglais et en français. Alors, chaque semaine, il y aura la même session en anglais et en français d'habitude. Alors, un mardi, c'est en français, le jeudi, c'est en anglais.
Oh, parfait. Mais c'est juste pour les étudiants diplômés?
Je pense que oui.
Okay.
Je pense aussi.
Je pense que
I'll have
oui.
to miss out.
And I can see in the conversation that someone is talking about taisez-vous. Pascal mentioned taisez-vous, and I was also about about to talk about it during the presentation. It's also nice. They organize session to work together. So it used to be in person, now it's online. And on their website, they have also tools and that you can, if you're interested in all of this time management, they have helpful things.
So we do have one in the Faculty of Arts as well. Jennifer's involved as well. So it's at the Arts Bistro, which has a number of volets, but it has been championed by the Vice Dean of Student Affairs, Jennifer Lennox-Terrion. And there is a piece that has writing cafes. So myself, Eliza, and Jennifer Dumoulin are all facilitating. There hasn't been a lot of take up yet, just I think because we need to do more promotion probably. But it's the kind of thing where one of us will be there for 3 hours in a Zoom room and anybody can come in and do their work with us. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get the link for it and put it in the chat.
William just shared something.
Yep.
Did Jennifer share it?
Or no, he shared something about taisez-vous, but so the Arts Bistro one. Okay, yeah, you can share that one. That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Another technique Charlotte mentioned was the Pomodoro method, and I shared the link for it. I tried using that, and I found the 20-minute, because what it is 20 minutes of work, 10 minutes of do whatever you want. I found that a bit short, but I did try like a modified one and did this with a writing group when I was in postdoc, and it was 50 and 10. So 50 minutes, focus on something, 10 minutes, do whatever you want, and actually found that really helpful.
Yeah,
like it was a little bit long. It was long enough that I could actually get into something. I found the 20 minutes was like too short. And then I would take longer, then the 10-minute break turned into like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then it fell apart.
Yeah, but I think also it's a very good method. Très bonne méthode.
Nice. Perfect. Okay. So Diane, thanks for sharing that.